6:30, we'll call the meeting order. Pledge of Allegiance is next. You want to lead us, Mike?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, it looks nice. Thank you, Mike. Here, citizens.
Go ahead, go please.
I just want to sort of reiterate that I think the possibility we have of losing children's sports in our town will be an issue, not just for them, but also for our sense of community and our draw to our community. But this week in particular, I was just thinking about a few ideas. I don't know if any of them are viable, but just wanted to have said. The first is certainly that if we do vote to eliminate the rec director's position, please do try to put some planning in place for a transition. There are lots of options for other things that could be done, but unless we communicate with those other bodies that might help that happen, or set up funds or whatever that might take, it might fall by the wayside. Like the school didn't even know that this was happening for this next season. The other question I had is whether or not it's possible or worth putting it as a separate line item, as a vote for people in town. I know we voted on it originally separately. It was like 2014. It's one of the first years I came to a town meeting. And at that point we were voting on some things in person. And so that was this particular line vote to add that. We could see whether people want to remove it now personally. Or we could keep the rec department position, and I would say make it more even than it is. You are the employer. You have the ability to create that expectation or that guidance so that it, yes, supports children's sports, but could do more for our town too. So just 3 ideas I had over the past couple of weeks. Wanted to just put those out to you and make sure I shared that thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to follow up on Wendy's point or position, I was the one that sent in the letter, I think, to you guys or to Rick. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been volunteering my time coaching soccer, basketball, and baseball for the Cavendish, everything from 3-4 to 5-6, and I do it because it's a passion. It's there's nothing like watching a kid get his first hit and run the bases, and I've seen Cavendish at its best with athletics when we're playing somebody in basketball and that little gym is filled with chairs all around it and people enjoying it, or opening day at Grevin Field where there is, as Wendy said, this sense of community that I'm not sure what else drives that in Cavendish these days. And it, when I read the notes about getting rid of the recreation director and giving that money over to the sheriff, I think it said in the I'm like, I didn't know we had that much more trouble with the law. I mean, I don't know what that gets us from a community perspective, other than somebody else sitting on 131 looking at speeders more often. But it's for me, and I'm selfish because I have a 5th grader who has grown up through the a very active athletic program under Terry O'Brien's leadership. I'm not sure if we need a full-time recreation director, but we do need, as Wendy said, somebody to communicate and coordinate. If we're going to integrate with Ludlow, we have students today playing in Ludlow, students playing in Chester. My son actually ended up playing in Londonderry on an all-star team for baseball last year. So it's if we're not going to have the position, if we're going to send our kids to Ludlow or Chester, we still need to figure out how we support those teams even. 'Cause I think Andover uses uses Chester rec department. There's a stipend they pay into Chester. But if you look at the budgets for both Chester and Ludlow, they're astronomically bigger than ours, and they actually use it as a revenue generating opportunity. So I think there's a lot of things that we can look at and think out of the box. I'd hate to have it just line itemed off and see you later gone, because once it's gone, you know, how are we going to get uniforms? Are we going to get uniforms? How are we going to get supplies? Who's ordering the baseballs for this coming spring? And once again, I love doing that, but that's not my job. That was what Stephanie was doing. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Anybody
I
else?
say thanks to the gentleman for the work he's doing. Anyway, Ken Phillips, and you probably read my fascinating email to the board. I'm sure you rapt attention. I want to start off with what I'm going to say, though, is I just found an article in the Times from 2002. Judges ban Pledge of Allegiance from schools citing under God. And it continues, from a constitutional standpoint, those 2 words, Judge Alfred T. Goodwin wrote, were just as objectionable as a statement that, quote, we are a nation under Jesus, a nation under Vishnu, a nation under Zeus, or a nation under no God, because none of these professions can be neutral with respect to religion. And let me say, as I said in my letter, I like to quote James Joyce's character and say, you behold in me a horrible example of free thought. And for me, the worst of those 4 possibilities was a nation, is to require people to say a nation under no God. Because the most horrible thing I can think of is imposing my views on this on somebody else. It's none of my business, and it's none of other people's business to impose their views on religion or philosophy on me. So I regard saying the Pledge of Allegiance with the words under God as, I take it as a personal insult. And as I said in my letter, I'm actually an Army veteran. I served stateside during Vietnam. I have a couple other friends who are also, like me, free thinkers. One of them almost died in Vietnam. And you ask yourself, well, what's that have to do with this? And it has absolutely nothing to do with this, because we all have equal rights. Veterans, non-veterans, whoever. We have equal rights. But us non-believers are not necessarily terrible people. We're patriots. We served, and so forth. So I would just like to ask that you do one of 2 things, and that is either remove the Pledge of Allegiance altogether or remove the words under God, because it's an insult to those of us, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in town who doesn't believe. It's the First Amendment. I'll just quote that briefly. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's where it's at. That's what we should be doing. And so, like I say, I would appreciate if you would remove, either not say the pledge, which I don't have anything against, being a veteran and everything, it's okay. I mean, we should have our allegiance to our country, but we don't have to have allegiance to other people's religion. So anyway, thank you for hearing me out. If you have any questions, or if you want to explain why you all voted unanimously to have that, I'd appreciate it. Perhaps you just weren't really thinking that much about those issues.
Any comments from the board?
I'm just going to say that I don't think it was something that was spur of the moment. We've talked about it at several meetings in the past,
Right.
and nobody had any concerns. So
It would be an easy thing not to pay that much attention to, I have to say.
Obviously, we'll probably just leave it where it is, and we'll be doing it at every meeting. That'd be mine, yeah. All right, do you need to adjust?
No, I don't.
Okay, we'll go work on fiscal year 27 budget and possible approval.
So all the numbers have been fixed since the last budget meeting. Obviously, it has not been approved yet. I do want to bring up the fact that I do now know that we have a $142,498 surplus from fiscal year '25. So there's
Can you say that again?
$142,498,
Thank you.
which, before we can finalize the budget and vote on it, kind of need to decide what we're gonna do with that. There's a couple ways to do that. We can obviously put it into this current year's revenue, and that can be offset by one-time expenditure, whether that's or capital equipment, or replacing trucks, or paying down some debt, or it could be put out to a townwide vote as well on to either put it into establish a new reserve fund, or a one-time purchase of something. And it's, but it's got to be shown somewhere, and I don't have everything done on the warning that would indicate a new article to vote on, but we can, get into that afterwards. But yes, it's nice that we have $142,000.
Is there something you had in mind?
To be honest, paying down like something like the garage note, that's at 6.5%. We owe a little under $300,000 on it. Is a really good option. And then again, when we're buying new trucks, since we don't have money in the capital fund, we're buying new trucks at 6.5% and still paying a large amount of money to keep the old ones running. So those, I think, would be my suggestions, would be, put it in the revenue, offset it by putting it into either the capital or the paying off of the garage note. Or not paying off, sorry, putting it towards the garage note.
I'd say probably put it in the capital fund, so when we need, because we got one truck,
Right, we
we
got
should
one
be
truck that's
replaced
hanging on,
fairly
right?
soon anyways.
We have a few that need to be replaced, and we're actually still down the town pickup, and I haven't heard whether or not the insurance company's gonna even total it or say it can be fixed, so.
So if it was put in the capital fund, we could use it for the garage or a truck? Could it go towards paving too, or no? Just
You would-
another thought.
No, you could also put it into paving, yep, you could do that, for, this 1 year.
Just another thought.
Yeah, that's definitely, you can spend it where, as long as you put it in the budget as an expenditure, we can put it into paving as well as, equipment, or pay some on the garage note. You heard it.
Yep. I have a thought, still my head in the lion's mouth. We could fund Stephanie's position for a year and
Absolutely.
still have 100,000 left over for,
And still have the extra money in for the sheriff. Yes.
Correct.
or fund the sheriff, however you wanna look at it.
Mhm.
You
And this-
still got 100,000 to either pay down one of the bills or just have it set aside for when something breaks and we need to replace it.
If that's in the fund, because I know that before you guys have tried to get trucks and you couldn't, because you didn't have the money right there, would that allow this to happen? Like if it's a quick turnaround?
If we would have had that in the equipment fund this past fall, we would have been able to replace more of them.
Just saying,
Mhm.
Yep.
make some people happy and then it give us a year to kinda think about things and really try out what it means.
Yeah, we can, we
One
can
way or
put,
the other, somebody's gonna have to do it.
if we do those, we can put those, expenses back in, easy enough for both rec and then anything left over into whichever, paving or.
But then the question becomes, now that we've already had the conversation with Stephanie, does she want to stay for a year?
I didn't have that conversation whether or not she wanted to stay. I was thinking maybe she was gonna be online tonight, but
Let's have the conversation.
but it didn't sound like, didn't get any indication that she didn't want to, but.
Any other comments from the board where you'd like them to
But
see where the
that-
money goes?
That being said, just throwing that money back in there because we have extra money. I think the whole concern with that position was we don't see the need for that position
Right.
as to what that person's been doing in the past. What was the other person that was in there before her?
Terry.
Terry.
There was a lot of stuff done for the community and other things at that time when he was there, which is not there now. There's no Grevin Field. There's not all the extra activities that he did around town. I'm not totally against it, but it's just like the position has to be justified, not to just throw money back in there.
Well, we've had people come to meetings,
That's
just because you don't have kids in school, you don't always see all the stuff.
still needs to be
that's happening.
justified, the position though. And it wasn't taking all the money away, there was still money left there for coaches and all of the supplies and other stuff that was needed. The money was not completely gone, it was just the position. I don't remember the exact amount, but
Yeah.
I mean, if the board, votes to put, or if we put that money back in, then, a real conversation needs to just moving forward. I don't see that she has a real, job description or expectation list either, which, is something, as a board, we ought to get together and, if it's back in, really put it out there. Within reason for, the amount of time we're really paying her for. I mean,
What's your pleasure now on where you want to see that money go to?
You know what I want.
I agree, we can fund Stephanie's position for another year and put the rest in the capital funds, so if we find a truck, we can buy it.
You good with that, or
That's fine.
for a year? Okay. We need a motion.
Sandra's out.
Sandra, you good with that for a year?
You're muted,
You're
Sandra.
muted, hon.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with what you're doing now, but I had a comment I was waiving because I wanted to comment on the Pledge of Allegiance, which I'll do at the end, okay?
Okay.
All right, so is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that with the money that we have left over, that we put it back in to the rec director rather than switching the money for the sheriff or funding the sheriff that way, however you want to word it, and leaving what's left over in the capital improvement fund.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
opposed? None? So we put that back in.
with the understanding that position needs some direction
Yeah.
and some
Totally agree.
insight as to what it's gonna be in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, it gives us an opportunity to really
To transition.
put some framework around that and really
Make it better.
establish what the priorities are for the, I mean, as you were talking about with Terry's role, I mean, night and day, I think. And
Yeah, but-
he's a good person to tap into about what the expectations for that role should be. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on, discuss yearly selectmen's report.
yes, we can move on. This will require, unless we have some patience, probably a meeting on Thursday, so we can actually approve the budget if that's,
Okay.
because I'm gonna have to change everything,
Yeah.
so we have a real number, so. I could do it, but it would be kind of dead air for 10 minutes while I did it, or we can do it Thursday.
I'm okay with Thursday.
Okay.
Does it work for everybody? Work for you, Dave?
What time?
6.
6:30?
No,
6?
I won't be here, sorry.
You said 6?
Yeah, 2-6 would work. No work for you.
It works for me, yep.
I will be out of town. Rick.
Okay. It's, the only thing that's gonna really change, Dave, is, that, the budget number. And it's on the warning as well, so.
Yep.
You okay if we carry on without you?
Guess I'll have to be, huh?
Don't have to
You
be.
can zoom.
We can have that discussion.
I was just saying thing with the possible, we're going to have and discuss possible approval of the town warning.
Well, we can, on the selectmen's report, I
Yeah.
didn't know if anybody had any suggestions. Obviously, I'm gonna put something, I'm gonna add to what I had sent you, to say, with the addition of the surplus and the intent for it, and reasoning. I'll add that in there, but other than that, is there anything else? I mean, I felt like I got a little distracted when I did it, so it was a little off. But if there's none, I'll add that, and we can talk about that on Thursday as well.
Okay. Everybody good with that? Do you have anything? Okay.
So 7 we have to do Thursday.
7 we'll have to do Thursday. If there's anything that you'd like worded different before that I can change and have it ready. I'll obviously have the correct budget number on there for Thursday this time, because it kind of feel like we've got it finalized, and but it's easily changed if something happens on Thursday anyways. But yeah, we really can't,
Yeah.
we can't vote on it for sure yet without a number.
Okay, we'll do that Thursday. Okay. You good with that?
Yep.
We go to other business.
Do you wanna go to Sandra?
Yeah, we'll call it when it goes around. Do you have anything?
No.
Jenny?
Nope.
Sandy?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say with the pledge, and I see that Kim is still there. When I take that pledge, for me, personally, it's how I really want to approach this position, with respect for the people of Cavendish, and also respect for people's religious beliefs, really, whatever they may be. And I think that's a good thing. This is not a mandate for people to have to say the Pledge of Allegiance. People could come in after we say it. People could, if they would like to do that. But this is not a mandate that people have to say it. To me, it's as select people, our personal pledge to this community of how we respect, the liberty and justice for all. And I know under God gets people, people don't like that, but it's like all religious beliefs, even the non-believers. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I have to say that just by doing this, as the town mandating it, in fact, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a veteran, I'm a citizen, and so forth. It puts those of us who don't believe in a position under those who do. Now, let me say, there's a lot of good religious people in this town, For some reason, I think of Reverend Abe, for example, and a few other people I know, great people, no question about it. But it's irrelevant. The town just should not be doing it. It is, in fact, I can't remember what the First Amendment says anymore, but it's mandating the state, a local government, to basically take a position on this, just like the judge said that I read the quote. That was a 2002 decision. If you want, I'm sure you can find the article if you look for it. So I realize you don't have to say it. Nobody has ever put any pressure on us to say it or not. But it's not quite the point. The town just should not be doing this. Period. Sorry.
Mike?
No, I'm good.
And I'm good. All right, we're good. We have a motion to adjourn.
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
All right. Ayes have it.